I get another hello?
Hello.
Give me another one. Oh, should I sit in the...
Hello.
Maybe I'll sit on both chairs.
Is it comfortable?
No.
They're not the same chair.
It's terribly uncomfortable. But I also feel like I need to balance the...
Oh, yeah.
Like the seating arrangement.
Scoot in a little bit.
Oh, man, I feel like every time we've like reached out to each other over the past couple of weeks, we've both been like drowning in stuff at
Agreed. Work, travel, study,
professional requirements.
Yeah.
It's been a lot.
Yeah.
Where did you travel?
I didn't. You did.
Okay.
I don't think I went anywhere.
Yeah, and I went to Denver and Chicago.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Made me jealous.
It felt so good to like do some shopping. I actually rebuilt my wardrobe a bit. Yeah, this shirt in front it's like still got the tag on. I'm very happy with the shirt though. And that's something like where we live now in the heart of the Midwest, I don't get to do a lot of fun higher end clothing shopping. So yeah.
We were kind of talking about that last night actually because we were thinking of places to shop and how there isn't those kind of places, but I don't shop at those places, so I'm good with what I got. But I also shop online a lot.
Do you think though, like if there were like a high-end clothing store in the place that we live, do you think that you would shop there or at least check it out?
I think I would look and not necessarily buy unless I was in love with something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Like I make sure that I'm in love with the article of clothing before I pick it up. Unless it's just like a crazy good deal, and then it doesn't matter. But I feel like there's a large untapped market here because there's just no place for people to go in person to get that kind of clothing. And it's also really intimidating to buy higher end clothing online without being able to like see how it looks in person first, see how the fabric falls.
A lot of times I only buy something online if I know it's free return shipping.
Right.
Yeah. And then I put all my money on the line. Okay, I'll spend like triple what I want to because then I can find what I like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of clothes, welcome to the wardrobe. This is the Who You Know podcast. I'm Rylan Deemer.
And I'm Elisa Wildy.
And today we have a conversation with Dylan King, our third guest. Very excited to have him on. And
he's great at asking us questions.
Yeah,
we ask him questions. So
we go hard into these topics too. I think normally we try to shoot for like 5 different like main topics to go through with the guest, and I think we only got through like 3 things
and maybe only 2.
Yeah,
but it's all over the place, and I hope you have your own thinking caps on because I know my brain got a little mushed in the middle trying to think so hard about some of this.
Yeah, and I think Dylan and I come from a spot where we have probably been thinking about these things for quite a few years, like especially the stuff related to like virtual reality, how we view our reality, what we would like our reality to be, whereas you're coming at it from like a newcomer's perspective. So I think it's cool hearing like the balanced thoughts.
Well, it was cool for me to hear. I told them I'm going to be thinking about this the rest of the day, talking to Dan about it.
Yeah. And so will all of you. So stay tuned. Dylan will be on in just a couple minutes. Is there anything else that we wanted to touch on before we wrap up the intro?
No. Well, our time, we finally posted our first episode, so we're pretty excited.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're super excited.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone listening probably already knows that at this point, but...
Yep. But, right now we're excited.
Yeah, it's cool. Finally, we can call ourselves influencers, podcasters, official co-hosts.
Yeah, bunch of new titles.
Entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels really good.
So thanks for sticking along with us, too.
Yeah. Bye. What was the question?
Like a break.
Oh, yeah, if you want a break, just...
Do I just like tap out or
just suplex?
Just run away, just flip the table.
Yeah, if you need a break, just be like, hey, can we take a break? And
I'll try to remember.
We will facilitate
that safe word.
This is good. This is Actually, I expected to feel way more pinched than I do.
Yeah, I usually don't look this good. This is weird.
No.
It's like a Snapchat filter.
She.
We actually didn't put a.
No, we didn't. Well, because I think with the new studio setup, I think it actually looks really good without a filter. Before we were doing like some weird color correction stuff.
Yeah, to get the lighting right. Well, hello everyone. Today we have our guest Dylan King. Say hi.
Hi.
Dylan is a friend of mine, I would say, and he's very intelligent, and I felt like he was a really good guest to bring on just because he's very passionate about a lot of things he does. So I think he could talk about things that we aren't so passionate about, and hopefully we can learn from him
Well,
today.
I'm passionate.
Yeah.
But so like we can just start it off. Like one thing I think you're pretty passionate about is music.
Yeah. Love music. I love it on almost like a spiritual kind of level where it's like I always had like a void for myself where it didn't, well, like a lot of the religions didn't really fit that for me. And so just trying to find something, like I feel like science and math kind of helped me feel more of like the worldview kind of thing. But then there's still more than that, like to being human. And so I feel like music was a lot of things that felt that maybe initially as like a coping mechanism and then developed into like self-actualization type of reason once I had a stronger foundation.
So how do you? That's super fascinating that music is fitting or filling a spiritual need for you. How do you know that it fills a spiritual need?
You know, and maybe spiritual isn't exactly the word,
Sure.
but I think that's something a lot of people might kind of see it. I would just say my mind's always racing all the time. And there's some times where I just forget the whole world. And I feel like for a lot of people that has some sort of spiritual, I forgot, I took world religions like 10 years ago, but I think maybe like moksha or something like that. I believe it's like a Hindu idea of just kind of forgetting the world or kind of some separation. Probably butchered that, but yeah, probably things like that are what kind of puts it into that realm. And being able to connect with people without words and that intimacy when you're sharing music with each other is another thing.
When did you start to like, how old were you maybe when you started to know that music was?
Yeah, I would say like for me, the first time where I'm starting like, wow, this is interesting. Well, my first introduction to music was probably VeggieTales. All honesty. You're my cheeseburger. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to sing.
we already violated a rule.
Dang it. But yeah, I mean, that was the early one. But I'd say more realistically was my mom was like a booking agent for a music venue. And so sometimes I would go there with her and watch some of the acts perform. And I remember just being there and I'd feel the bass shaking me. And I told her, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to play it. And so they got me a bass guitar. Started, playing that a little bit, take some lessons. And then I found an old guitar in our storage room, brought that out, started learning that and taking lessons. And so that was the inception.
So you've already mentioned two instruments, but I'm aware that you play a lot, right? So what other instruments do you play?
I would say like guitar is by far like maybe 80% of my music talents. I do sing. I don't claim to be good at it, but I love doing it. I think I can write singing a lot better than I can perform singing.
Interesting.
And then I don't know if it counts. I play a little bit of drums, but just like on electronic softwares, you've got like Logic or kind of like a garage band type thing. And I love doing that. So I picked up a little bit of piano because that's usually how you input MIDI is what they're calling it, or you turn like a signal into a instrument where you map buttons into different tones and stuff in the software. And so from that, it gets a little ambiguous on whether I know how to play the instrument or not, but making music with them and incorporating those different elements.
Yeah, so you, like you kind of just mentioned, would I call it produce music? Like, what do you call that?
Yeah, I think that's the word for it.
Okay. And so do you normally do like all kinds of instruments like on a software then?
Oh,
Or is
yeah.
it, okay. So it could be anything.
It could be anything. Yeah, there's some songs where I'll just try to make the most strange instruments that I can find on there. They've got a lot of instruments that I just don't really hear a lot in most pop music, like a lot of Chinese instruments that have sounds, and sometimes the tones even kind of aren't in the usual like Western theory of music, and they kind of change that so they make it sound really distinct, and it's fun to play around with them, try to make them work, and if not, you learn a little bit about it.
Yep. So do you do a lot of the music? Well, first of all, you have a band, right?
Yep.
Do you write a lot of the music for your band?
Yeah, I would say I write most of it, although we have another guitarist in the band, and they've started to kind of match me in songs. But yeah, I've written probably like 1 or 2 albums worth with that. Wow. So I love writing music. We never run into a bottleneck of not having material. It's usually the opposite, where I annoy them with how many songs I ask them to learn.
So how often are you guys performing?
Performing, it's been a long time. We just got to the point where we're ready to perform. We did a show at SoCal Underground, and the pandemic happened. And
well, you got ready to, and then
we were able to do that one show, and then we had some others lined up, but then they all got canceled. And I mean, some people are going back to performing. I'm kind of unsure about it, just because I know if I perform, a lot of my family and friends will want to go or feel obligated to go. But
want to go.
And so I don't want to like kind of put pressure on them to go and get infected or anything like that. And so I think I'm the most cautious one in our band. So I was kind of holding us back from doing gigs, and I haven't been looking for any now. But
has that caused any friction between you and the other band members?
I wouldn't say anything too big, but they're definitely maybe a little bit where they probably would want to perform more shows. But I think I'm at the point where I'm saying, if you want to do a gig and set it all up, I'll show up that day and do it. But just hasn't really materialized yet.
I guess I'm curious, how do you go about just saying, I want to start a band? Like, how did that was it multiple people's idea?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know that I am not shy about asking to make music with people, and even coercing people to make music with me who might be a little bit shy to, because I still
have yet to bring my viola over.
I haven't forgotten either. And if Jen's out there, I think she owes me a saxophone solo. But I mean, in this case, I met up with someone who I knew was a drummer who I knew back in high school. And we ended up meeting, we just saw each other at a bar, and it'd been like, I don't know, 8 years since we saw each other. But like, hey, how you doing? Good. And feeling nice and chummy at that point in the night, and decided, let's get together and let's jam. And we had a bassist that we knew was in the area as well, and that he knew as well. So us 3 got together and played a little bit, and then from there you just start pulling in some friends. So my roommate, he loves singing, so I'm like, you want to come in? And then we talked to another guitarist, and they joined, and assemble.
That's awesome. So like, what else do you do not with your band? Like, are you doing anything on the side with music?
Yeah. I mean, part of the when I write, I don't like to constrain it in any way. And when you have a band, it constrains what you can write.
Yep.
And so I guess I just write so much, there's enough that fit for the band as well. But I mean, I'd say maybe once every other week, I'll just get in the mood to play some music and write something. And sometimes it's like an electronic piece, sometimes it's hip hop, other times it's acoustic, maybe like metal. Like, it's all over the place. And so I don't know, that's one of the big things that I'm happy that I don't depend on it for income, is where if I don't want to make a song, there's times where I go months without writing anything, and then there's times where I write 5 songs in a couple weeks. So it's kind of cool to not just have any barriers or any restrictions on it.
So if you had the option to do it for income, though, would you take that option? like in replacement of your current work?
I think it really depends. I think if I got rich and famous, I would die within 10 years. I think I would spiral out of control. I think I have found for me just like just a modest lifestyle with people that you care about and having those relationships be the focus, rather than if I was able to get on a stage and be rich and famous and have people worship me all over the world and get paid millions of dollars to do it, I would lose my mind. I just think I would lose track of what really works for happiness, because I think humans adapt to their levels of happiness. And if you put the bar up that high, that young, and that quickly, some people are able to adapt to it. I definitely am not one of those people. Now, would I reject the offer? No, I'd probably say yes to it. I would probably try it, but I think it would be the wrong choice.
How, like, it seems to me really insightful to know that about yourself. Is there something that like you've identified in your past that has led you to that conclusion that you maybe wouldn't handle the fame as well as your current lifestyle?
Yeah. I think that I was not happy for a large part of my early life. And so I had such a dedication, like, to trying to figure out how do I work? You know, you trying to figure out how your brain works and what things allow it to help and not allow it. And, you know, at times I did drastic things that would be more of the, you know, setting the bar up really high. And I noticed it was destabilizing. And so I've found for me, it's just a lot more like steady, consistent, appreciating what you have, and really just making relationships the core of happiness rather than possessions or activities.
And are you able to talk about any of these times when you maybe pushed the bar?
Not on this podcast.
Okay, sure.
I was wondering, going back to the question of like, if you would do it for money, like, I feel like you're like, well, I wouldn't handle the rich and famous that well, but would you still enjoy what you're doing for money? You know what I mean? Like, just
if I was doing it,
enjoyment out of it, yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, I from what I've understood from how the industry actually works, I don't think I'd really like it in a lot of settings, but there are some people that have independent labels where they own their own music and masters and everything. But I find that setup just so unlikely that I would achieve it. Like, for me in my life, I have no intentions of pursuing it. And so the only way that would happen is if some of our music got out and someone reached out to us. And in that case, they want a bunch of control over what we produce and our image and our brand. And I don't know, a lot of that just sounds awful to me. I hate dressing up. I hate pictures. I hate forced interviews. I mean, just so I above anything, like I've already said, I hate any restrictions on what I'm allowed to write. You know, it's like I said, it's almost like a sacred thing to me. It's beyond money, fame, or anything like that. So I think that would not work out great.
Yeah. No, I feel like I like to decorate cookies, and someone asked me, like, would you do it if people paid you? I'm like, no, I don't think I'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's too much pressure, and it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, I was wondering too, like, I remember you put together a great party one time, and I feel like you have such a knack for it. Would you also kind of feel that about that? Would you want to be a party planner or?
I feel like I want to be able to put on really cool parties. Like, I've been thinking about types of themed parties, even for like my birthday coming like later this year, or for Dan's birthday later this year. But I don't think I'd want to do it, when people hire me to do it, because then I also think about what people think of me all the time. And so if they're disappointed with one thing, I'll just feel really down on myself.
Like you ruined their birthday or something like that, even if they're acting a little crazy about it.
Yeah, and like I'm part of like these cookie decorating Facebook groups, and all the time they're like, these are my cookies. The customer complained. What do I do? And I'm like, they look so cool. Like,
fire the customer.
One opinion that doesn't go right.
Yeah.
I feel kind of like the odd man out. I will throw myself into something more and more if I'm getting paid for it. Like, the money will like like boost my spirits.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, with this, would you, if it takes off, would we see any more?
I mean, if this podcast really blows up, in a big way, and we start making real money off of it, I will be funneling my portion of the money, at least, like back into the podcast, trying to make it better and
Keep
better.
Growing
it'll become like this cycle of growth. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of how I view that kind of stuff. Like, it just makes me want to like put more and more into it because it's providing value for people. And I'm being shown that through the numbers.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only way I could see myself doing music full time is if I could just continue very similar to my current life, make music only when I want to, and I have people that love it.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, if anyone wants to hear my music or see it, I'm happy to share it. You know, like when you said people are getting value out of it. If people were really like being touched by my songs, then I want the world to hear them. Yeah. But I don't think people want to hear them that bad. Frankly, usually like with music, it's more of a selfish thing when I write it. It's for me. It's like a diary. It's cathartic, and so if people like it, cool. If not, I don't care.
It's probably what makes it so attractive to the people that do like it, because what they're experiencing isn't just like music that they want to hear or don't want to hear. They're experiencing you. So like your spirit is like coming out in the music.
Yeah.
And so if people are liking it, it means that they're liking some aspect of you that you're putting into the music.
Wow. I don't think I ever thought about it like that. I know, like when I said it was like an intimate thing, that's part of the reason why I doing shows is my least favorite part of it. Mm-hmm. It's because it's like reading your diary to a group of 100 people, and that's hard to do. Yeah. It's very vulnerable. Luckily, a lot of the music's so hard rock, I don't think people really understand what they're saying. Sure. But it doesn't change from my perspective, that feeling. Mm-hmm. And it's also helped that I'm not the singer anymore. In past bands, I was the singer. And having someone else sing it kind of puts some separation, which just made me feel a lot more comfortable with shows.
Mm-hmm. Have you put your music out there where people can give you like feedback? And I'm more wondering, have people ever given you negative feedback that you questioned yourself? Like,
yeah, I mean, well, I'd say obviously like the most common place to have it out there for feedback and getting feedback is when I show a new song to the band. Okay. And there's been plenty of parts that they didn't like or wanted to change, or they just thought were needlessly complicated and got frustrated with me giving them that much homework. Yeah. I'd say the other thing is usually I just put my stuff on SoundCloud, and mainly it's for me to just listen to it myself. But if other people want to hear it,
can you like comment on there? Like, can a random user, like if I logged in and found it,
yeah, like, you could just dunk on me if you wanted to.
Do people do that?
No, no. I there's not enough people who know it's there. Okay. But the only comments I really get are just bots saying, loved your track, click on this link, we can get you famous.
That must feel good.
Yeah, especially after, I think the funniest part is that you'll get those comments 1 second after you post a song. So they love that first second. Yeah, strong start.
So good. Yeah, and we can link your SoundCloud in the description of this video if you would like.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I might have to clean it up a little bit first. There's a lot of stuff out there that, again, it's just for me, and not all of it I'm ready to show to the whole public.
Sure.
Gotcha. So I guess another thing you mentioned, which I don't know much about, is you have been getting into virtual reality gaming.
Oh, I was so excited to hear that this is an interest of yours. Because this is like a big interest of mine.
There's so many people I like start like ranting about this with, and I see their eyes like they just don't care, like they slowly dim down. Well, I mean, you definitely didn't light up like Rylan.
I am beaming because I love that stuff so much. And you probably saw, this is off camera, so sorry everyone, but you saw the there's like those things that go from floor to ceiling. That's like what I mount my sensors on and stuff.
Oh god, yeah.
So yeah, I got the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive like on a release day for both of them. Yeah.
Oh, See, I'm super jealous because me getting into it, I went to a place where you can kind of like rent or like play for like an hour, and we went together actually, and I thought that was so cool. So I ended up getting the Oculus Quest 2 because it's like a kind of like a cheaper entry level thing, and I love it. But there's some higher end games that you can't play with it that you need that higher hardware to really run.
So let's take a second, and for our audience that may not be as familiar with virtual reality, like what is it? Like what is VR right now?
Yeah, I think in a way, all games are kind of virtual reality where you are able to click some buttons and something happens in the game. But with virtual reality, they kind of take it to the next level of trying to immerse you in a whole world where you got the headset on. And so what you see is not your surroundings anymore. They can kind of construct a whole different universe that you live in. And then often you have controllers in your hands, and then that information can be used to move your avatar in the world or press the commands and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think, like for me, what is most standout about virtual reality is the sensory replacement that you described. So like the entire idea is it's replacing your vision, it's replacing your hearing. So like you only hear what's in the virtual world if you've got, the right setup.
Yeah.
And the industry is like working on replacing other things too, like your tactile sensation. So haptic feedback is meant to replace what you're actually physically experiencing. I don't think they've done anything with taste and smell yet, but that's coming. That's coming. And it's just so interesting to like put on that headset. It's one of the few times in my adult life where I felt that childlike sense of wonder like come back to me. And it's so cool, like showing people virtual reality who've never seen it before and watching that happen to them too. And they start like giggling. And,
I showed my, one Christmas, I brought it over and I showed it to my grandma, and she, I think she just was like, oh, it was just, so that was just cool to see, and it makes me really wonder like what my grandchildren might be able to show me one day.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling that way. I feel like I'm already behind on technology for my own age. And so yeah, someday that'll be me. But okay, so what kind of games or like what kind of games do you do that you enjoy on virtual reality?
Yeah, so I'd say that I'm drawn to kind of two different types of games, kind of two genres. One is just action. Like I have never felt the adrenaline other than maybe some like battle royale games where it's just you feel like you're actually like your life might be on the line. I mean, obviously I don't really feel that, but it elicits a lot of that. So I just feel like I'm firing all cylinders. So that can be a game like there's like war games where like, you're actually holding like a virtual gun and you can duck down to dodge stuff, and you can like tilt around cover, and just those little minor things. Some games kind of incorporate them, but you can just, the way they do it's like press X to lean left is just so much different than when you're actually moving around. And I'd say probably my favorite game that I played on VR is The Walking Dead. So it's kind of like a zombie fighter game, but rather than being like a hack and slash where you're just action all the time, it's like you have to be stealthy sometimes. You collect materials. You have to be there's different endings to the story, and so you can like deal in a little bit of politics, and it's weird talking to another person or a character in VR and having your actions make sense. If you like throw an item at them, they'll respond to it. So,
and by another character, you mean like a computer controlled character, not
exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And so that's one version of it, and that definitely wakes me up. Makes me feel like I'm really gets the blood pumping. And the other side is more of the puzzle / mind bending. Because when you open up this world, there's just so much you can do with it that can really blow your mind. So there's some cool puzzle games. Like one is, I think it's called The Fisherman's Tale or something like that, where they kind of have like a recursive world kind of thing where you have like a smaller model of you're in a lighthouse, and then in the middle of it is a smaller model of the lighthouse. But then eventually you find out that in that is you as well. So when you move, the smaller you also moves.
Weird.
And so you can like pass items between each other. And then another thing that happens eventually is that is a minor spoiler. Fast forward, but eventually like it's in the tutorial. So
Sure.
you lift the lid off of it, and then you look up, and there's a giant you standing over the top of you. And so it's things like that that kind of brings me like VR is fun to play, but for me, there's like a much deeper thing. And it's like the existential thing of like, what is reality?
Yeah.
And I think it brings me to a question I have for both of you. It's that if you could live in a virtual world that's indistinguishable, but you could control it however you want, would you?
I think, the control part of that question, I think, makes it less appealing. Like,
Okay.
I feel like having full control over your environment makes it less attractive.
Kind of like when you use the cheat codes in a game and it kind of ruins the fun.
Yeah, exactly. Or even like, it's like if you've ever been in a relationship where it's not equal or close to equal.
Yeah.
It can feel like kind of like, what's the point if one person is like kind of controlling everything that happens. So,
yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
I feel like, the control part got me mostly because I'm indecisive, so I don't know what I would do anyway. But more so like, I don't know if I'm one of those people who likes to go with the flow with most things. And so like, I kind of like things being thrown at me. It's just like how I like to go about my life. And so it keeps me on my toes. And I just like that for some reason, which sounds weird as I'm saying it to myself. But I kind of like having the like ups and downs of life and working through things and not having everything as I wish, I guess. But there are some things I would like to control about my life.
Like what?
I don't know. Like maybe keeping the temperature at 80 degrees would be nicer than the winter. But I don't know. Like those little things. Or like when something gets stressful, just create more time in the day. I don't know if that fits into what you were thinking.
Oh, you totally
like,
could. You'd have all the control you want.
Or like if I could control how much sleep I need every night, or I don't know. Yeah. Little things that aren't like biologically possible now would be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if we stripped the control part out of that question, like, would I live in a fully virtual world? I think we already are.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, that's just how I view the universe, is more like a simulation than organic or natural kind of creation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, would you one thing I was wondering, would you guys have any problem with like the inauthenticity of it, you know?
No, I don't think it makes it any less real. Like, just because something is created or like an AI construct or something like that, I don't think it makes it any less real than what a naturally occurring reality would be. Like, to the point where I don't really understand even the concept of thinking that it's not real. Like, I don't, it just kind of confuses me. And I understand a lot of people think that if we lived in a simulation, then why should I care about life at all? Like, it's just, I don't even like have that thought.
Yeah, especially if you have a hard time proving you don't already live in a simulation, but you care about it all the same.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't even. Can you repeat this question?
Yeah.
I need another thought at it.
So let's say that you are able to live in like a virtual reality that's you can't even tell apart from the actual reality where you do podcasts with people like me. And let's say you're able to change a few things to make it better. It's beautiful weather whenever you want it to be, or maybe more often.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Would you have a problem with the fact that it wasn't your original reality?
Yeah.
Like, did it feel inauthentic? Does it all feel fake and therefore it doesn't matter?
So kind of the way you just described it, maybe. Okay, let me think for a second.
It's a tough one. I feel like we've thought about it a little bit more. And we're just surprised.
Yeah, we're just throwing you in the deep end.
Well, like, I think if I would know that I'm in a virtual. Like, I would know.
And you do for this one. Yep.
Yes. So, like, would I think I'd be kind of bothered that I know this isn't real, or I know this isn't what's supposed to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would still enjoy it. You know, like I said, I would go with the flow. Like, I think I would still fully enjoy a life like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I feel like I have always wondered, like, are we really existing right now? Like,
Yeah.
that question always comes up, I feel like, to everyone. So, like, I don't know.
So where do you fall on this?
I'd say that I fall similarly to being rich and famous from music, where I think that I would fall apart and go insane,
Really?
but I would still totally do it because it's just too tempting to pass up.
And the control, is that your ability to like control the simulation?
From what I
environment?
said, yeah, I think right now I'm talking about if I could control it all.
Yeah.
I think I would absolutely take up that opportunity in a heartbeat, and I would go insane.
I'm still... I'm going to be thinking about this for, like, the rest of the day, I think.
Good.
I'm going to go home and, like, ask Dan what he thinks, and I don't know.
Good.
I think if
It's still kind of bothering me.
Good.
If I accepted the offer to like live in a constructed environment that I have control of, I feel like I would immediately place rules upon myself as to what I could and couldn't do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do in this reality anyway. But
yeah. It's like you could eat chocolate cake for breakfast every morning.
Right.
But you choose not to.
Right, exactly. So like I already have like a internal code of ethics.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a flow chart for every situation. And I feel like if I were to like jump into a constructed environment that I have full control of, if I didn't immediately set like a pretty comprehensive set of rules on myself, then I would be concerned that I would fall into like a similar trap where I would kind of like spiral out of control. Probably like God complex kind of stuff.
Exactly.
With the level of control that I think we're describing here. Are we recording?
Yes.
And we're back! Thanks, everyone. We had a minor technical hiccup.
Maybe it's because of the, maybe we're in a virtuality and the people are just messing with us to see what happens.
Okay, maybe you are messing with us.
Gigs up.
Oh, okay. Back on to... Do we have anything else we want to talk about with virtual?
I do.
Yeah.
You do?
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I am looking forward... I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to full dive VR, where it's replacing every sensation with the virtual environment. So it's like you lie down on your bed, you put on your headset, it completely, overrides your brainwaves so that you're just fully experiencing the virtual environment.
So you're tapping directly into the brain?
Yeah.
Rather than going through the normal sensory stuff?
However it works, who cares?
Sure. Yeah.
But full sensory replacement where you don't need to like actually move around.
Okay.
To move around in the virtual environment. You're controlling everything with your brain.
Yes.
I believe we will have that at some point. I just don't know if it'll happen when we're alive.
I agree with that 1,000%. Like, as someone who's punched walls many times while fighting zombies and whatnot, I think parts of it, like, you can still, like I was talking, you can, like, peek behind cover and stuff, but just the idea of, like, being able to full-on dive and stuff like that, like, there's always some bit of immersion that's being withheld because I, like, have to confine within my room. Mm-hmm. So I always have to, like, you can't dive too much. You can't overreact to things. So, I agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah. I was going to say it's a little different than, like, your normal, like, playing on the PlayStation or something because, like, you're sitting there moving your thumbs and that's it. So I thought maybe the cool thing about VR is that you are actively moving. Like, I feel like that would be something that would bring me to like it more. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's good for fitness, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. I think it depends on whether you believe you're moving or not is the key thing.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, full dive VR. I really hope that happens in our lifetime, because that to me is such a complete game changer. And yeah, the fitness aspect of like actually moving is great, but I don't think that's the end state of where VR is going.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's going full dive, like you don't experience anything from the real world. You experience only the virtual world.
How much would you pay for it?
Oh God!
Right now.
Right
Today,
now,
they have it.
100,000.
Really?
Oh my God.
Actually, I'd probably go higher.
Uh-huh.
I would easily drop 100,000. It's not
Yeah.
even a question.
Uh-huh.
Put down a mortgage.
Yeah. Mortgage on the VR.
I'd be like selling the house. Like,
Well,
hundreds.
you could
and
get a
hundreds
much
of
cooler
thousands,
house in
like-
VR.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
You could just
It's like unlimited money in
be
the
in
game.
whatever mansion. And
Yeah.
invite all the friends over who also were able to afford. full
Yeah.
dive. Speaking of, have you done any like social stuff in VR?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. Actually, it's kind of funny enough. I rant about it so much that a few of my team members at my job also got it. And we held a meeting in the Rec Room virtual reality game.
So cool.
Yeah. So that was really fun. And we played like paintball together and like talked and whatnot. And
That's cool.
it's like oddly futuristic.
Mhm.
I think now I still get a little like pang of, it's like a little almost, I don't know, like sad. It's just a little off. It kind of reminds me a little bit of some of like what Black Mirror will make me feel like, where there are episodes you're like, oh, this is really cool technology, but some's a little weird here.
Mhm.
But for me, I think it's just because of the limits of technology, and that once they get it so that when I look, I can't distinguish you in the game versus now, I think that will all go away.
Right.
Huh.
For me, it's like I really like the social stuff. It feels weird when somebody walks into my body. Like it's
Yeah.
very mentally disruptive to like
Mhm.
have someone be in the same space that you're occupying.
Yeah.
So like that's always been a little bit annoying. And some social software does a good job of like making people disappear once they get within like a foot or two of you.
Yeah.
So that's nice. But so often I feel like they don't really handle that aspect of the social apps.
Definitely
Very well.
breaks it.
Yeah. It's also kind of like you can't shake a hand.
Exactly.
You can't give a hug. It's just not there yet. The tech for
Yeah.
that isn't there yet. So.
I feel like with now, like you have buttons that do actions, and then to VR is one jump, but it still feels like there's a lot of those subtle movements that go to the next thing that I feel like we're missing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like I was walking around yesterday and I got hit in the head by a bug and I swatted it off. And I just remember thinking like, it just felt so human, like, because there's no game programmer that would spend the time to do it. It's those little tiny things that are just, they didn't need to happen. They'll have almost no impact, but I feel like it really makes reality feel like reality. And as you add more of those tiny little things, like all together, it really can sell it.
Yeah. I remember the first big social event that I went to in VR was a virtual comedy show
Okay.
by Reggie Watts.
Okay.
Super good. And he like the virtual environment was like a comedy club that could seat maybe 30 people. And then there were, I don't know how many duplicates of this environment. So there were like
Right.
thousands of people watching the show all in their
Yeah.
own like 30-person
Yeah.
comedy club. Super cool. And he was like, Reggie was in like a full body VR suit. So like everything that he did on stage,
Oh, whoa.
you saw him
Yeah.
like his arms and legs all moved like properly. And it was just super cool. Like at one point, we're all sitting around our little table kind of like this. And he's like, oh, don't look under the table. There's tons of gum under there or something. And then a bunch of people like went to like look under their table.
Yeah.
But then you heard like their headsets hitting their actual tables in real life because they weren't like lined up exactly with the comedy
Yeah.
club table. And it was like it was really funny, and I'm not sure if that's what Reggie intended, is for a bunch of people to like smash their heads. It was super funny though, but also it kind of like reminded you like this isn't quite where it needs to be. It's not all the way there yet.
Exactly.
But I'm very excited for the future. I think we've got a lot of good stuff on the horizon.
Yeah. And maybe a little bit of scary stuff. Like I know Facebook's been talking about what they want to move eventually in the future. Like their long-term future is moving into what they called, I think it was like the metaverse. And I think it's more of the idea of like, once we can completely immerse ourselves, well, there's going to be a universe out there and someone needs to host that. And the amount of control that you can have, if you can control that, is going to be just so immense. And it's one of those things where I use the Oculus Quest, which is owned and produced by Facebook through Oculus, who they acquired. And I still feel a little weird about them having all that data on me, but it was such a good price point. What are you going to do? I was too into it, but I don't know. It also brings up a darker side of where things could go, because just like if you had complete control, you can make things incredibly great for yourself, which may have unintended negative consequences. You could also have someone experience being tortured forever in their perception, because you can change time and how it works, and you can have pain levels that humans aren't even able to achieve. So, I mean, it can get really, really ugly as well.
Yeah, there's certainly like a dark part of that horizon, like you said, that I mean, I feel like Black Mirror does a great job of tapping into a lot of that. So
yeah,
those of you who haven't seen Black Mirror, have fun with that. But I remember like a year ago or so when Facebook said in order to keep using their Rift and Quest and all their other VR headsets, that you had to have a Facebook account linked to it. And that made me deeply uncomfortable, because I mean, obviously Facebook hasn't been like the greatest actor in the tech world. And yeah, I do have some concerns around that. Like, if you're literally shaping the reality that people are experiencing, who's to say you're not going to like develop that God complex and have fun just messing with the mortals?
Oh God. Yeah. And another thing is like, I know deep fakes are big now, but once you've got VR, you can just program things to happen so realistically that the truth will be so, there's already more, I feel like, ambiguity around the truth. And once you get to that level, I feel like it almost going to be impossible to know.
Yeah. I'm like, you guys talking about this makes me like scared for this to
No, it's going to be awesome.
Okay, we'll see. You guys show me the awesome part.
Yeah, it'll be super cool. When you're like riding a dragon and like shooting a machine gun at the same time, then you'll be like, yeah, this is cool.
See, that's where I end up going with it. Or like traveling around the sun and like setting off some nukes, like not even a machine gun, like a nuke gun or something crazy like that. Yeah. Like those are the types of things I think about doing when I have complete control.
Things that you definitely couldn't experience in our physical world here.
And another thing that's way less cool is just like, I would love to just be able to eat a box of donuts and have no impacts on the calories, and then also no longer be full and just be able to experience that forever. There's like smaller things like that. And then there's the crazy things you can do as well.
Yeah. My mouth is like watering now, thinking about like, if I could just like taste chocolate cake. You said that earlier.
Yeah. No consequences at all.
Hopefully I don't become addicted to the taste.
Yeah.
The fake taste. Yeah.
Yeah, we may have to play a little. I don't know how sure you guys are doing, but maybe play a little VR. I kind of want to. Have you done it in a while?
No, I probably did it like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe even 3 now.
Was it at that
Did
place
you go to
we
that
went
same
to?
VR?
No.
Oh, okay.
I played it at like Sarah Jean's house.
Oh, they have it. Okay.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun, but we played some pretty simple games. But I do remember one where you did, I don't know what kind of thing you used to like kill zombies. I almost feel like you had an axe and you were like killing the zombies coming at you, but they let their dog in the house the same time someone was playing, and the dog jumped on him and he was so freaked out because there's actual zombies in the game.
Yeah.
That'd
be terrifying.
It reminds me of like those 4D Disney World experiences, like stuff coming out of you while you're in a show. Yeah.
I always lock my door when I play VR. I'm not kidding at all.
No,
yeah.
that's smart. It's like when I used to give a lot of VR demos back when I was in Chicago, I felt like I had to be like a total mother hen, like keeping everyone else away, making sure people like stand back and like do all this.
Because people hurt themselves all the time.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
When they're stupid with it.
Or they won't even notice when they're like close to the edge of the play area, even though like in the virtual environment it like pops up kind of like a grid showing you where your boundary is.
Yeah.
They'll just be so immersed in what's going on that they won't see it and they'll slam into the wall.
Yeah. Some people will dive. Or like I think the biggest thing is jump scares where your instinct is just to get out of there and then you
Yep.
Or some people just like swing a punch.
Oh my gosh. My dad, when I showed my parents, was like, it was Super Hot. If you've played that game, it's where like time only moves when you move. And so you have people
super hot.
And so like it's almost like the Matrix where it's like things move in slow motion and then you like can strike them and you have people attacking you. My dad, every time, full force of his punch when he's doing these things. When you can really just kind of do this, it was like, and I just kept saying like, you're gonna knock someone out. So I'm curious, what was your impression when you were playing it that one time?
I guess I just thought of it as like another game.
Yeah.
It's really cool and a cool way to like play a game, because another one that we played was like the one where you had to like offset the bomb, like the bomb was going to go off and the person was reading the manual that can see it's not in the game.
Okay.
And they're trying to tell you what to do.
It's like stop talking and nobody explodes or something.
I don't know.
Okay, I haven't heard of this one before.
But yeah, it's going off, so it's like a puzzle game, I would guess, but like someone who's not in the game is like telling you what to do based on what you tell them. So it's more of a communication game.
Yeah.
And I love board games, and so it kind of just reminds me of that, just a totally different experience.
Yeah.
But I do remember the first time I was shown VR was in college, and it was like, I feel like when it wasn't super big yet, and like you put your phone in the little goggles and like it does something like that.
Yeah.
It's so cool though. Like we went in the prehistoric times, saw dinosaurs or whatever, and like the guy who was showing me was like fascinated with this, so then it made me really interested. But, like, I don't think it's something I would like. I've thought about so immensely.
Yeah.
Like you guys have so in depth.
Yeah.
How it could change the world. I feel.
Yeah. I feel like that's interesting because I've noticed it with, I'd say like 75% of the people I talk to about it, they're kind of like, it's like a gimmick. Like that was neat. That was fun.
Yeah.
But then there's like some people, and that's why I was so excited when I saw your eyes light up, where like they just, I feel like maybe they see a whole vision of what could be and like all this potential. And I think it's interesting. I'd be also curious what causes different people to see it differently, whether it's their past or their worldviews that can influence that. I think I fall a little bit more on your side of things, where I don't think like the idea of going into virtual reality would be fake if you can't distinguish it. I think your reality is whatever you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that also, if your reality is whatever you're experiencing, then that would mean like if somebody, like what you said, like tries to like torture you forever in VR, that's actually unethical.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of need to view it as a real experience in order to have that viewpoint.
Yeah. I mean, like it's like cyberbullying.
Yeah, it's important that people view the virtual world, even like being on Facebook, as part of reality, because it does directly impact us.
Yeah.
So, like cyberbullying is real bullying.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like what I'm imagining when you guys have been talking about this. Is like in the future, we're all going to be in these little pods that we just lay in all day, and our reality is not us living, it's like in our virtual world, but like, do you have both going on? Like you need to take care of your actual body that is existing. Like
I can't imagine a reality where people don't feel a strong desire or need to like get out of the pod, do some exercise, say hello to people face to face, even though the virtual world may be indistinguishable. I think we'll all still hold on to some part. I mean, some people will definitely be fully consumed by VR and never leave their pod.
That's what
For sure.
Yeah.
concerns me. I guess.
And there will be other people who absolutely refuse to ever go into a pod.
Mm.
But I feel like the vast majority of people will try to strike a balance, just like we do now with anything that we enjoy doing. And, you know, we may all be doing all of our work in a pod, all of our entertainment in a pod, but still want to get out, move the body, build the muscle, feel good, feel energized physically. And
Yeah.
I think that's what the future holds.
I see that as like a transitory phase. I think like eventually we will no longer use our physical bodies because our minds are just so much better. And once we have technology that our minds can directly tap into to do things and experience, there'll be a generation of people who grew up in the pod and they will lose that longing to get out of the pod.
So how? Yeah, I think you're probably right, and we're probably just looking at a different like time horizon.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I could see a time when like you don't even need to exercise to keep your body healthy, when they can use like, I don't know, electrical impulses and magnets or something to make sure your body doesn't atrophy.
And I see us evolving to not need them.
Yeah, there's that too.
Like
If
just
we
being
could-
a type of brain.
If we could fully transfer like consciousness to the virtual environment as well, that's like another potential future. I don't know if we'll ever be at that point.
I don't expect to see it myself. That's for sure.
No, definitely not.
I'm just trying to imagine having a baby in this world. I feel like I don't see it.
You could just take your like brain code in the virtual environment and your partner's brain code in the virtual environment and splice them together to create an artificial
Be a
child.
virtual
right?
baby.
Is that
Yeah.
is
Or
that a thing we can do now?
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
Oh man.
You just make a copy of yourself.
Ugh, gross.
Okay, here's a question. Do you think you get along with yourself? Like a clone of yourself?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I think we'd be like
Best
we'd be
buds?
so tight.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like no.
I feel like it would
Really?
almost be.
Yeah.
I feel like it would almost be dangerous though, because
Mm.
if it were truly a copy of me, I think we'd be like, all right, we got plans. Let's
You're
let's
too in
let's
sync.
execute.
You start scheming.
Yeah, it's like I feel like that's what it would be. It'd just be like a very strong partnership.
Mhm.
See, I think I have the most fun with people that are not me. I don't like being alone. And I don't think having the same exact person with me would help. I think it would just be like, now we both don't know what to do alone. Like, I don't know. I don't think it would go well. I think I'd still be like, get me out of here. I want to go do something with friends.
Maybe you'd enjoy going and doing stuff with other people with them,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't want to live alone with them forever.
Yeah, exactly. What about you?
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things that we'd be in sync with, but I don't think long-term living together. I think if they were like a friend or acquaintance, we'd get along just fine and probably get along well, but I don't think I could like live with them long-term.
Yeah.
Live with me long-term. Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it. I feel like you are in on it.
Oh man, it would just be like, I'd be like, yo, you gotta exercise now. And
Yeah.
he'd be like, all right, dude. And then he'd be like exercising.
Yeah.
And then like, I feel like we would just like build on each other the
Yeah,
whole time.
it'd be quite a competition.
And some of that would be really positive, and some of it would be like, I think the threat is that I feel like if it were me talking to me, it would encourage Machiavellianism. Because I feel like I've got like a touch of that in me, but like not the motivation to really like. But if I had like another person,
Yeah.
and like I love engaging with people, I love like the back and forth, and
Yeah.
I feel like me and me would get very excited to like be like, hey, have you ever thought about like if we blah 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 blah, and then we would just like spiral and
Yeah.
and
And you have that reinforcement too.
yeah, and I feel like I feel like that would be really dangerous for me to have like somebody
Yeah.
validating and reinforcing like
I think
I mean, the
everyone like
positive and negative aspects of
yeah,
myself.
I feel like everyone
So-
has some negative aspects or views that they think would be good, but are more questionable. And maybe they are held back by like social pressure But then when you have someone else who's encouraging that,
Yeah.
that's where you can go beyond the traditional morals, and that can be both good or bad.
Right. So, Elisa had said that when she talked to you about joining us on the podcast, that you wanted to talk about like how, or like what we find meaning in life, or like what gives life meaning, something like that.
I mean, I can ask it in varying ways. Some of them sound a little bit more confrontational or dark, but I feel like those get better answers.
Sure.
Where it's like, why do you keep living? Why don't you just die?
Mm-hmm. I enjoy life. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like when I was thinking about this, I love having fun, and I feel like my life is so I can have fun, but also I hope along the way, because I enjoy my life so much, I hope that I can help other people enjoy their lives too. So if I can do that somehow, it helps me fulfill like the reason why I'm alive, maybe. But I just like it because like I don't know what happens after this, and I don't like that, so I want to be able to like live in what I know now, maybe. I don't know.
Make the most of it, because it's maybe as good as it gets.
Yeah, I want to enjoy what I know exists already, and whatever happens after, take it a step at a time.
Yeah.
Not rush anything.
I don't think like fun or pleasure or joy is a driving force for me. Like I definitely don't feel like that's why I live. What I think motivates me to keep going is making my world bigger. So like the part of me that I view as like myself and my experiences, like I want that to keep growing. And like this podcast is part of that too. Like your world is only as big as you allow it to be. So when I make myself vulnerable, when I reach out to people, try to connect with them, understand them, view things from their perspective, that makes my world expand. Like I'm seeing things from a different angle. I'm experiencing things from another person's point of view. I'm letting them learn about me and my motivations, and that makes my world feel richer, denser, larger. Every time that I do that, allow myself to do that, I feel fulfilled, and I feel like I want to keep going. And like I said, this podcast, that's kind of the idea, right? Who you know. We are learning about people. We're sharing ourselves. We're giving people a platform to share themselves with us. And to me, that's like the most enriching thing that I can experience. And that's what keeps me going every day. If I were the only person on Earth, I may keep going just to like take care of cats. But you know, the my fuel, what like gets me moving through every day, wouldn't be there if there weren't people to connect.
Okay.
Because my world would be so small at that point.
Yeah. And why is it important to have your world be big? What do you get out of that?
I don't know. There's some, maybe this is like just like a base fulfillment thing.
Yeah.
Or just knowing other people and letting them know me and feeling understood. That to me is just, I mean, fuel is maybe not the right word, but like to me, it's like what fills my tank.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know where it comes from, why I like that. I think the first time that I was able to put it into words was after playing the video game The World Ends With You, because that was the theme of the game.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah. It came out a little over a decade ago, I think. But just like that idea, once I like played that game and really experienced like its way of expressing that theme, I was like, I have felt this my whole life, and finally I've got like words to put behind it. And so for me, like I played that game and I was like, oh, cool. Okay, now I understand like my driving force, my motivation in life.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like connecting with people. I like connecting people to other people as well, and that keeps me going.
Yeah. That's interesting. This is one of my favorite questions to ask anybody ever.
This is why I was excited to have you on here. You ask such good questions that make people think.
Yeah. We want to hear your answer, though.
Yeah. I think like kind of what I mentioned before is where I had like a space to fill for my worldview once I kind of decided that what I was told didn't really make sense to me. And so kind of turned more to like math and science to fill that. And I think the current working theory of why I do things, why I keep living, is that I'm programmed to do that through evolution, because the people before me, they were programmed to keep living, because if they weren't, they wouldn't have kept living and I wouldn't exist. And kind of that's kind of looking in the past. And then if you kind of look in the forward, I actually think everyone just tries to maximize what they believe their expected present value of pleasure in their life will be, using very actuarial terms, but kind of just you try to make decisions that, according to what you believe, what you expect will bring the most pleasure, but then you also have to weight that with how likely those events will happen. And so that's why a lot of people will maybe put a little bit more value on things happening now in the current pleasures, but then people don't always just mash the current pleasure, because they understand that in the future they also want to they may have more pleasure in the future, even if there's a risk it won't happen because they'll be dead or things will change.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a big promoter of do it now, because you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't like to say no to a lot of things because of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll do that now.
You have high termination rates for pleasure happening.
Yeah. Gotta get the most in now.
Yeah.
Well,
It's been such an honor to have you here. Really great having you in the wardrobe with us.
Yeah. I love it.
You were a fantastic guest.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dylan.
thank you.
My
so
pleasure.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
This is fun.
See ya.